Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Post-fight review, Jophnny Fisher, Dave Allen. Dave Allen gets the revenge. The result that he should have got from their first fight, should have got a decision, went against him pretty unfairly in most people's minds, but he did not leave it to the judges in the second fight. So he stops Jophnny Fisher brutally, so brutally in the end of the fifth round. Jophnny Fisher left face down on the canvas after eating a left hook. Hand down, man down. Dave Allen, like a chameleon, rising from the dead with his career here with one of his best wins, and Jophnny Fisher sent to the shadow realm. So Dave Allen, massive win. And it was a very calculated performance by Dave Allen. Some people might have thought he's not doing enough, maybe he's not throwing enough punches, but what he was doing was he was old manning Fisher. He had the rounds from the first fight. He knew that Jophnny Fisher was going to tire. And I think from the outset, what we did see was Fisher was more respectful. He was worried about what was coming at him. He was biting on feints. And despite it not being a high volume fight, he was expending a lot of energy. And Dave Allen, with the tactics, pressing forward, the mental pressure that was exerting on Fisher, you could see that that was taking a little bit of a toll on Fisher, especially by round 4. I actually thought after a bit of a first round where Fisher was pretty cautious, he started to actually get into his work, and I did think that by round 3 he was looking a lot looser, more confident, he was believing what he was doing. But there was always the question in the back of my mind, and I'm sure many of you, would Jophnny Fisher, like that first fight, would his tank start to go to E? Would Dave Allen be able to turn it up and really put it on him and make sure that he was feeling the action and the pressure? And he did. You could see round 4, Dave Allen was starting to, I think, despite that being a Fisher round, because I made a note here, you know, the pace is good for Allen, and that Fisher, while he was on the back foot, he was burning through a lot of energy. And this is where it really came to a head in round 5. Dave Allen turned it up, dialed up the intensity, dialed up the volume of shots that he was throwing, started with a massive right hand that had Fisher sort of doing a little bit of a dance, trying to catch his footing, and Dave Allen was never really off him from that point. Landing shots to body and head, Fisher goes down. There was only about 10 or 15 seconds left in the round. Allen took his time and almost on the bell, lands a peach of a left hook. Fisher's head rocks round and his face straight down to the canvas, and the towel comes in at that point as Fisher is falling. So massive, massive win for Dave Allen. And I think a lot of us probably, I mean, I was yelling at the sort of the action right at the end of that. That was an intense end to that fight. And justice too, because Jophnny Fisher got one that he shouldn't have the first time around. Dave Allen, in many people's minds, was robbed. At the very least, it probably should have been a draw, but I mean, I think on most people's cards, Allen should have got the result first time round. The question was always going to be for this fight, you know, what was Jophnny Fisher going to learn from the first fight? What could he do better? And I think the thing is that has been not exposed, but has again been confirmed. Jophnny Fisher has a ceiling. Remember, Dave Allen, pretty, I guess, long in the tooth in terms of the length of his career. He is a bit shop-worn, but Dave Allen is still a decent fighter. He's got some pop and got some skills, and he's always had that. And when he's motivated, it's kind of like a sort of lesser version of Derek Chisora in terms of, if you're not good enough, he will find you out. Lucas Brown found out, Nick Webb found out, and now Jophnny Fisher, twice on the bounce, has found out. Fisher, to his credit, he had sort of deluded himself into believing he won that first fight, but he had to for the sake of this rematch, which was being called for by the fans given the first result. And Dave Allen, he old manned him in there. He was not expending a lot of energy. He was fighting very economically, not taking, Fisher, he was making Fisher use a lot of energy, I should say. And ultimately, he was able to turn it up when it counted. And the same round as the first fight. It was round 5 where he drops Fisher. But this time, he did not let him off the hook. And I think this time as well, Fisher ate a lot more shots and obviously face down on the canvas. He was up and around shortly after that. But brutal ending to this fight. And Dave Allen, you got to give him credit for this, and this is huge for his career in the what next. Actually, ahead of this fight, you had Fraser Clarke talking about almost like it was a fait accompli that Johnny Fisher should win, but that Clarke was above Fisher and didn't really need to fight him, but it was a potential fight. Maybe this is the case if Allen is sort of looking for a bigger fight, maybe a rematch with Fraser Clarke. He did end up in that one, I think in about 5 rounds, had a perforated ear, but he never really seemed like he was dialed in for that fight, like he didn't turn up in the way that he has for these Fisher fights. So a little bit of interest there. Fraser Clarke obviously has recently come off that devastating loss to Fabio Wardley, but I do think that there is a level that if you've got certain boxing fundamentals and you can keep Dave Allen at bay with your skills and your movement, you should be okay. Fisher, just too inexperienced, and I don't think he's as polished as where he needed to be. And obviously he tried to change some things, tried to show and implement a back foot game in this one, just not enough. And ultimately, I think one of the things that's been reconfirmed is that Fisher is going to find it hard in his career to go a lot of rounds and be using a lot of energy and throwing a lot of volume, because we've seen it 2 times now catch up with him, and I think that is going to be his kryptonite, is the gas tank. Not as hard. I mean, he's durable, he wants to, and he can throw a lot of decent and pretty looking shots, but at the end of the day, his tank from after round 3, where he was looking comfortable, went to E pretty quickly by round 5, and Dave Allen, with the strategy and old manning him there, well, he's done it again. Drop a comment loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.